Hello everyone, my name is Saurav Sharma. I'm a certified instructor here at ASM Educational Center in Rockville, Maryland. We offer training on areas like cloud computing, computer networking, security, etc. You can check out more about us at asmed.com. Now let's get started with today's lesson. So in today's video, we will be doing something very cool. So the first part, we will go over what AWS CloudFormation is. And in the second part, we will use CloudFormation to launch a WordPress blog in few minutes, right? So we'll go through what CloudFormation is, and we'll utilize a sample template that we can use to launch a WordPress blog in minutes. So let's get started with the introduction to CloudFormation. Okay, so AWS CloudFormation is infrastructure as a code service or process or a technique that is provided by Amazon Web Services. Now you can it's one of the ways to provision infrastructure on AWS. You can do it through console, through SDKs like Bodo 3 in Python and JavaScript. There's JavaScript SDK and Java SDK. There's CLI, command line interface, which I have some videos about. You can check that out. But this is the fourth way of doing things. And the interesting thing is that you have templates, you have templates in CloudFormation. So AWS CloudFormation is a service that gives developers and businesses an easy way to create a collection of related AWS resources. I highlight the term resources because resources are the things that we will create. Okay, so resources, and provision them in an orderly and predictable fashion. Now, very good definition if you break it down. So, CloudFormation is a service that gives developers and businesses or architects an easy way to create a collection of related AWS resources. By resources, once again, we mean EC2 instances, VPCs, RDS databases, anything that we will create normally through console or CLI. Those are the resources that we will be creating in AWS CloudFormation, and we'll provision them in an orderly and predictable fashion. And how is that possible? How does that happen? So first, let me go through this slide. What can developers or architects now do with AWS CloudFormation that they could not before? So CloudFormation automates and simplifies the task of repeatedly and predictably creating groups of related resources that power your applications. Creating and interconnecting all resources your application needs to run is now as simple as creating a single EC2 or RDS instance. Now, I see this as you can how I understood this was when you're making a brick, right? The brick that builds houses, that goes on a wall. So you don't create individual bricks. You have a template that you put the soil or the concrete, whatever, and you put that in the template and you dry it up, and there's a brick for you. You don't go on individually creating the bricks anymore. Sometimes there's automation, and when you make one thing over and over, there's no need to make that thing from scratch. There is ways to do it from a template, and CloudFormation is the same thing, but you can create an entire infrastructure. Some companies have their entire infrastructure in a CloudFormation template. So with a template, you can build a lot of things with just a template. You put some commands on a CLI, or you use the CloudFormation console in your AWS console to create by just using a template. So what new concepts does AWS CloudFormation introduce? So, like I said, the template is a JSON or a YAML format text-based file that describes all the resources that we will be deploying to run our application. And the next part is the stack. The stack is the set of resources that we will create and manage. The template will create the stack. The stack is our goal. Template is our template is our way of reaching that goal. So the stack is what we will get by using the template. Now, once again, template is a JSON format text-based file. Now, one thing to remember, and that's very important, is that if all the resources are not created properly, a process called rollback will occur, and none of the resources that are created will stick. For example, if in a template I have a template that I want to create an EC2 VPC security group, but let's say the security group gets created, but the VPC that my EC2 will be, it's not created. There's a failure in creating the VPC. Then what will happen is that everything will be deleted, including the already provisioned security group. So there's a rollback unless everything is done properly. And when that happens, you don't have to worry about deleting whatever is built. Now, this will make all sense when we actually go and do the lab, but stick with me for a couple of more slides. What are the elements of AWS CloudFormation template? So once again, JSON formatted or YAML formatted text, an optional list of template parameters. Now, this is something that we will be doing probably in the next video. We might have some examples of parameters, but I tried to not include parameters as much in this video because we want to start simple. But anyways, it's optional. Parameters are optional. A list of output values that are also optional. This something like if you want to get the DNS name of the EC2 instance we created, or the IP address of the EC2 instance, so that we can jump right away by opening up the web server, then we ask for output after the stack is created, but this is also optional. The other optional thing is list of data tables that is used to map AMIs or whatever to a certain list of values. So for example, if I'm in the if the AMI is, if the region is US East, I want to say I want to create this and this AMI. If the region is US West, I want to use this AMI. And this is because AMIs are different by region. Linux an Amazon Linux AMI has a different number in US East, US West, and Asia. It's different in every single region. They're not similar. The number of the AMI ID is not the same. So now the thing that's highlighted here, the list of resources and their configuration values, this is the only thing that's required because we want to create the resources. If we don't create the resources, then what are we doing? Nothing. So resources is the only thing that's required to be in the template. And obviously a template file for format version number. We see this in every single template, but so far there's only one format, and this is optional as well. So in the future there might be a different format version, and at that point it might be more relevant to include the number, but for now it's not important. And finally we come to the actual skeleton of the template. So for example, a template would be something like this: template version format number, version date. You'd have something like 2010 blah 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 in here. Description is just to help you with understanding what's happening. Parameters, like I said, is optional. Parameters is something like if I have resources such as EC2 instance, a parameter could be the subnet that I want to create this in. But if I don't have a parameter, I could just hard code the subnet value in the resource section, and I don't have to use the parameters. But with parameters, what you can do is you can make the template reusable with different in different scenarios, different parts, and you can make it a lot more reusable. Whereas if you don't use parameters, it's only usable in very few instances, in very few cases. So parameters is a very good practice, but we will be building up to that point, and in the beginning we won't be using parameters at all. Maybe few that's just hard coded, and we won't be putting them when we deploy the stack. Mappings, like I said, mappings is used to map AMI to the region and stuff like that. I might have an example that I'll show you briefly, but we won't be doing this in the lab in this part of the video. Resources is the only thing that's required. Resources will be EC2 instance, VPC, security group. That's part of the required, only part that's required in the template. Conditions, something like only create a VPC if the security group, only create the security group if the VPC is successfully created. I don't want a security group if there's, unless the VPC is created or something like that. Only create an EC2 instance if this happens. So it's like if else. Okay, so it's like depending on this, do this, something like that. Outputs, the same thing. If I provision an EC2 instance to become a web server, in the output section I might want to output the IP address of that EC2 instance. So this is the basic format, like just the skeleton of the template. An actual template might look something like this. Template version 2010.9.9, description: deploy a simple Amazon Linux instance and allow SSH. Parameters, like I said, in the key name here, let me try to zoom this. Okay, I don't know. So file. Okay, so let me try to zoom this quickly. Go there. Okay, so in the parameters, you see the default. When I have a parameter with a default value, I don't have to enter anything when I'm deploying the template. If I don't have a default value, then when I deploy the template, then I have to include, for example, key name in this case. Okay, so if I have a default value, I don't have to include a key name when I'm deploying the template. If I have a default value, I don't need to do anything. The resource section, in this section we are creating a simple instance. That's the name of the resource we are creating. This is just anything. You can put simple instance or complex instance, whatever you want. It's just a name. Now the type is AWS :EC2 :instance. This is saying that we want to create an EC2 instance. This is the naming convention. Properties, key name, ref key name. So when we say ref key name, it's going to reference the name of key name. The key name is right here. That's in the parameters. And since it has a default value, we're good to go. We don't have to put the parameters when we deploy the template. Network interfaces. This is the networking part. Group set is reference simple instance security group. That's right here. We are creating that also. Type is security group. Properties, I'm saying this is the description saying enable SSH. VPC ID, VPC, I'm hard coding the VPC ID. So the security group will be for the VPC 7C5. Security group ingress, this is the port 22 that's coming in. And the CIDR is from anywhere outside from the outside world, port 22, from port 22. And this is like a basic template. There's a lower part that I didn't include in this slideshow, but that's it, guys. This is the slideshow, and I will be doing a lab in the next section. So let's get started. Alright, welcome to the second part of this lesson. Now we know what CloudFormation is and what it does and how the template works, right? And we know that we can use templates to create a stack. Now a really cool thing about CloudFormation is that since it's templates written like a code, infrastructure as a code, there are codes out there that we can just use and not have to type anything over again. And AWS provides sample templates to us to use. So why don't we check that out? So first thing we will do is to go inside the CloudFormation window by clicking on CloudFormation here at the console. So if you don't see that, you can just click on services and type in CloudFormation just to get to the same place here. Okay, now you get 4 different options. For today's lesson, we will create a stack. AWS CloudFormation allows you to quickly and easily deploy your infrastructure, resources, and application on AWS. We know that. Now here, you can use one of the templates we provide to get started quickly with applications like WordPress or Drupal, and one of the many sample templates, or create your own template. Now we're interested in the sample template, so let's click on create a new stack. And once again, they give us an option of designing a template. We don't want this. Choose a template. Right here, a template is a JSON YAML formatted text file. We talked about this. Now under the select a sample template, I want to click on this drop down, and I want to choose WordPress blog. Now make sure you don't click on multi-AZ samples. This will launch 2 different instances with the WordPress blog. For this demo, we just need 1. So let's click on the third item on the single instance samples, WordPress blog. Next. Stack name, I'm going to call it WordPress blog, right? Now we have to choose database name, database password, root password, and username. Now for the simplicity purposes, I'm going to choose WordPress DB for everything. Now you don't want this in real life because security, but for simplicity, I'm going to choose the same name. Okay, you can't see it, but it's the same, and you can choose whatever you want, but make sure you write it down and you don't forget before you actually start logging in to stuff. So now instance type, I'm gonna do it in T2 micro because it's a free tier. Key name is going to be one of the keys that you have. I'm gonna use my key. SSH location is 0.0.0.0/0, which means anywhere. Now, if you remember from the earlier part of the video, this thing right here is the parameter section, right? So we parameterized all these things. So instead of hard coding all these things, we can reuse this template. So it's a very good practice to parameterize almost everything. So if I had parameterized VPC, then I could choose which VPC this would go under. But as you can see, I don't have that choice. So this will be going to my default VPC. So if I had parameterized my VPC, then there would be a box here asking me to choose a VPC, but there's not a box here. So next, on the key, I'm gonna call it name, and value is gonna be WordPress blog. Now this will be useful because this will tag all the resources that the stack will create, and it will have a tag of WordPress blog, right? So we'll look into this a little later. In advance, you get to choose things like notifications. We don't want that. We want a simple WordPress blog for now. So let's click on next. Okay, so this is the review page. As you can see, the template that we will be using is hosted on S3, and once we choose, everything is done by Amazon, so we don't have to worry about that. And we can also click on estimate cost. It's going to be free, especially since we will be deleting this right after the lab. Or if you want, you can keep it and host a really cool blog, up to you. Now here's my stack name, DB name. Let me copy this. So termination protection disabled. Now you might want to enable this so that you don't accidentally terminate your blog by forgetting. So this would be something to consider if you plan to keep your blog and not delete it. Now create. Now as you can see, the status is create in progress, right? Now back to the template we discussed, right? In the sample template we discussed in the earlier part of this lesson, we had resources, outputs, template, parameters, and we can see those things right here too, right? So parameters, resources, and outputs, and the template. Well, let me select on this first. So we haven't seen the template up to now. We just clicked, we just selected a sample template. But if we go and look into the template, which you can do by clicking on here. So once again, let me review what I did. Trying to lower this. Okay, so what I did was I chose the stack. I only have one stack. I clicked on the stack, and so you can do it both ways. So I clicked on the stack, I go to this page, and on the template I click on template, and as you can see, the template is right here. Now it's a lot more complex than what we discussed earlier, but it's the same concept, right? There's the mapping section, which could have been hard-coded since we know which one we will use, but the good thing is that this mapping, having all this extra stuff, gives people ability to choose different stuff, right? So this is a template, right? It has all the stuff that will set up our WordPress blog. Now you can look at this template on your own. The parameters are here, just like we discussed earlier. The tags, we gave the tag WordPress blog, and that's it. So let's go up, and we can see that status is create complete, right? Resources, if you click on resources, then you can see that my security group was complete and web server is created in progress. Now if I refresh this page, yeah, so the web server is complete too. And finally, after every resource is completed, the stack is completed, right? Create complete. Now if we go back to the the template section, right, let's go check out the output section, right? It's probably going to be all the way on the bottom. So this is properties, outputs right here. Now as we discussed earlier, outputs, you can output something that you want, usually the IP address of the resource that you created, or DNS name. So in this case, what we're outputting is website URL, a value, and we're joining with function join, HTTP. We're getting the attribute of web server and public DNS name / WordPress. So what we're doing is we're getting the public DNS name of the web server and adding a / WordPress in the end, and HTTP : / in the beginning, right? So in the end, what you'll see is, if you go to the output section, you will see the value of this, right? So HTTP and EC2, this is the DNS name / WordPress, right? So what this lets me do is easily click on it, and I'm there on my blog. I don't have to go back to my EC2 and look up my DNS name, that kind of stuff, right? So we're about to set up our WordPress blog, and if you don't know what WordPress is, it's basically a content management system for blogging. It powers a lot of websites on the internet, and it lets you easily create very nice blogs, and you don't have to worry about users, themes. Everything is simplified for you, and we can look into that a little bit. So site title, I'm gonna say my CloudFormation blog, right? I'm gonna start blogging about CloudFormation. Username, I'm gonna call it WordPress DB once again. Bad idea, but for this video, I'm gonna call it WordPress DB. Password, this is WordPress DB as well. And don't try to log in with this password, because I'll be deleting this right after this video. So, so confirm password, your email. So they want me to put in my email, probably to confirm. Now you can choose search engine visibility to discourage search engines from indexing this site. You probably don't want to check this because you will lose some traffic. So now I just click on install WordPress. I'm going to click on login. Okay, so the username was this, the password was this. I log in, and there we go. So I'm into my WordPress dashboard right now. If I click on my CloudFormation blog, this home sign, and click on visit site, then this is my website, right? It's already set up like a basic skeleton, but you can customize this in many different ways. Just to give you a quick idea, if I go to appearance and themes, I can choose from a lot of the themes, and you can do a lot of stuff. I can't go over all the things that you can do in this video. Maybe we'll do another video for that, but there's a lot of themes to choose from. These are just one page. There's the popular themes. I'm just gonna click on one. Okay, so once you try to install one of these themes, try this one. I like this one, right? So install. Then it will ask you for this credentials, FTP, username, password. You might even see some kind of error pop up over here saying error connecting to the server, and you can go past that problem by doing one thing. And to do that, we have to first log to our EC2 instance. So I'm here at my EC2 dashboard, and this is my blog that I created from CloudFormation. I'm going to click on connect. If you're using Windows, or you can use PuTTY or Git Bash. So I'm going to copy these credentials, and I'm going to my terminal to get inside this instance. Okay, so I am in my terminal window. I'm going to copy that, so I'm inside my EC2 instance. Now what you need to do here is say sudo, which means assume the role of the root user. chown means change ownership, -r recursively, Apache what this means is that when we install HTTPD, Apache user will be created, and that's where the WordPress, we are trying to give WordPress access, the folder WordPress access to Apache, right? So this and the path to WordPress. So the path to WordPress will be /var/www/html/WordPress. Enter. So once again, what we're doing is we're giving the ownership of this directory, WordPress directory, to Apache user and group, right? So that we will be able to install our plugins and everything without any problems. Now let's go back and let's try if this works. Now I'm in the same page. I want to refresh this page. I click on install. There we go. So now it's installing, right? So it's installed. Let me click on activate. It's activated. So you can pause the video and type in that command, and you should have the same access now. So I'm gonna go back to this place where there's a home like a icon and visit site, and it doesn't show much because we don't have anything, but the theme is kind of changed. Otherwise I can try one more theme, one last theme, right? So maybe this. So my CloudFormation blog, visit site. Oops, still not changing. It's because we don't have any video, any stuff. But that's how you change themes once you start adding post, and you can start writing post. I'm gonna say my first post. Hello everyone, and publish. Yeah, so set a featured image, media library, select files. I don't know. So yeah, I don't want to add any files. So publish. Dashboard, visit site, and here's my first post, right? And recent post, my first post. So this is how you actually use the cloud for the WordPress blog. Now I'm not an expert on the WordPress hosting, so you can try stuff out. You can look at other videos and find out how you can set up a nice blog for yourself. But the infrastructure, the underlying thing, is what we were. What our goal was to set up the underlying infrastructure, the WordPress instance, for you to host this website, this blog, right? So I hope you got something from this lesson. Once again, to recap, what we did was we went to CloudFormation and we created a stack, and we chose the sample template. We filled in all the things, and we created this stack. And once we created the stack, we clicked on outputs, and we could see the name of the DNS name. We clicked on this, and we had to set something up. And finally, when we tried to install some themes, we didn't have permissions to do that, so we added something by saying, change the ownership to Apache. So make sure you don't forget this step. All right, so that was it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Look out for more videos coming up very soon. Thank you, and see you soon.